ZYRA Jungle Guide. So I am diving into the jungle role with ZYRA, and she actually makes a good jungler. Her plants can tank minions for you. She has good ganks. She scales well. Her only problem is her clear speed at the very beginning is a little slow, but that's what my video is here for, to help teach you guys how to efficiently clear on ZYRA so you can play her too. Use this guide. I'm going to go through all the clears, and then at the very end, I'm going to put builds and items and stuff, so skip to the end if you just want to see that too. But yeah, all these clears, what you want to do is at the start of the game, figure out what lane you want to play for, where you want to path, what you think the enemy jungler is going to do, and use any of these clears that you see so that you'll end up where you want to be at certain times. So yeah, as this video goes live, I'm streaming ZYRA Jungle. Check that out, like, comment, subscribe, and let's begin. So we're starting with a leashless jungle clear on the blue buff side. So I'm standing my back against the back wall. This makes it so plants only will spawn around the wolves, and I try to hit all 3 wolves with my Q and start to let them tank onto me while I target the big wolf. And we only hit the small wolves to AoE them with our Q, and they will go down. And then we kite them around for a few seconds, always using our Q on cooldown. Even though there's no plant, we just get the cooldown down to get the AoE in. Summon our next plant, and now we go over to our blue. And we're just going to be doing the same thing, tanking and using the blue. I'm not going to go as much detail into this in the later ones, but we'll get more in-depth here just because the first one. So we're hitting the blue, we got an unlucky plant spawn. So we can pull the blue back over here and make it go. Ideally, the plant would be tanking, but I was scared it was going to disrupt the leash, and I didn't want to do that. So ideally here, you could also, if you want, just smite the blue and get a plant spawn and use both of them on the Grump, but I choose to just have it a tank and start 2 at the same time. And I pull it, finish it, and we finish the Grump. And then after we finish this, we are looking now for an early gank towards the top lane. That's the point of the Leashless, pathing towards our blue top. We are going to be now looking for either an early gank top, we can look for a gank mid, we can look for an invade on his red side, and if there's nothing available, we can path towards our bot side jungle. But this is the Leashless blue side camp. Alrighty, so this is the Leashless full clear from top to bot. So we are starting off pretty much the exact same. We are doing our wolves, tanking them and doing the big one first and spreading our dot around the small ones. And we are going to be doing after that the blue into the Grump, and same thing. You can see my plant finished off the guy down there. We are doing our blue now into the Grump after, and then instead of going to a top side gank, we are looking to here full clear back down towards the bot side. The risk of this, by the way, is that your bot side could get counter jungled, so you usually are going to want, you can see I have a control ward here in the bush. I start the game with a control ward. You could control ward your red side, or you could ask your red side to ward it for you. This time, instead of the first time, I smited the blue and put 2 plants on the small one. The times are about the same, I don't know. I usually just do whatever feels comfortable in the moment. And we finish him off, and then we are going to be pulling ourselves, and we're leaving 1 plant over there, and then we are clearing towards the red side. So we let the plant finish off the Grump, and we are down over here. So on this red Wraith camp, it can get a bit confusing. You want to hit your Q to try and hit as many of them as possible to put the burn around, and then we're going to go and put our plant over here on the red and just tunnel the big Wraith camp. So I'm just trying to, again, AoE the smaller ones. And I'm going to come over here and again try to AoE the small ones. I'm always just targeting the big guy, but AoEing the smalls. And I've got 2 plants over on the red. And when my root comes back up here, we can use that to start the red while we clear off this Wraiths. And now we are doing the red. And after red, we are going to be doing our golems. I put a plant on the golem so that I can smite and start the golem from over the wall to make my clear a bit more efficient again. So I smite it, make it start walking towards me, then summon the plant, make it walk back to the plant. I'm finishing off my red here. And my golems are already half dead. And after this full clear, usually you're going to want to do the full clear if you know the enemy jungler started bot and you're pathing opposite ways and you know you can get your scuttle crab. Since we're assuming the enemy jungler did that, we could do a full clear into our scuttle crab down here, or a gank bot, gank mid, counter jungle his bot side jungle if he hasn't done it. Lots of options you can do. Alright, so this is our last Leashless blue side start, and this time we are going to be doing an early gank towards our bot side clear. So like we had the 3 camp top clear, this is a 3 camp bot clear. So again, might get a little repetitive, but you know, imagine me, I had to record all these. So I'm just hitting the big one, AoEing the small ones, pulling it towards my red buff side, because that's where I'm going next. Trying to kill it before it all despawns, and we're going straight over to our red buffs into golems, or Krugs, whatever you call them, into bot gank. And there's a cool thing you're going to notice that's going to happen here. The cool thing is the camps we leave up will make us have a nice rotation back topside to clear the rest of our camps after the gank. So I'm just doing red here, and I am going to summon this last plant down here, and I'm going to put this one over the wall on the golems, so that on my next Q coming up, I can smite and start the next camp. Meanwhile, I'm finishing the red. I walk on over, finish the golems, and now we can look for an early gank bot. As you can see, I made 2 plants that are tanking different golems at the same time. Cool trick. Doesn't really matter because you have red buff here, and you're not going to take much damage, but you know. There might be clears you might do where you don't have red buff and you might be low HP or something and it could be useful. So I'm going to summon 2 more plants here to finish them off. And you want to use your sweeper as you're walking here. I probably should sweep it earlier if it was a real game. And you're looking for an early gank bot with this clear, right? So you're trying to catch their bot lane off guard with a gank. You can look to invade their bot side jungle. You can look for a mid gank. And we're just looking to stall time until Scuttle Crab comes back, and then we can clear towards top side. So ideally here, if you were in a game, you would probably wait for that Scuttle Crab to spawn and do it. And you come over here, and I'm again trying to AoE the small ones and just always hit the big one. So yeah, I should have done the Scuttle Crab, but I probably just forgot. But yeah, usually you would do that Scuttle, and then you would full clear back up. And again, the cool thing about this clear that we started with is the camps we left up, we can now clear back towards our blue. We have that ward we placed down, so we know it's still up, and we can go up and do our blue and our Krug. And then after that, we can look for a gank top, we can look for a gank mid, we can look for a Rift Herald. But there's actually a cool thing that also that first wolves that we killed will actually spawn as we kill Gromp, meaning that after this Gromp, if there's nothing to look for, we can go do our second wolves as they come up, and we can then recall and go to our golems bot side as they spawn. So very good clearing. As you can see, I tried to be cheeky with the plant or the wall there, but just an unlucky spawn. And if I do remember correctly, I think I messed up this in the recording, but then I just was too lazy. aka I'd been like recording for hours, so I just let it go. I've accidentally pull him an extra bit and it resets, but you pretend we killed Gromp here. And then after that, you can see my wolves respawn down there. So you can go to wolves, reset, and go to your golems as they come up, or Krugs. Or you can go up and get the Scuttle if it wasn't done. Gank top, gank mid. This is the leashless early red side gank. This is now getting a leash on your blue side. So start off, you can see the time at 1 minute and 1 second, or 1 minute you walk out of the bush to start the spawn. To get it on time, now I fast forward a bit and the blue spawn. So you can see me smiting right at the beginning. That's me simulating I have an ally smiting for us, and then I'm going to refresh my cooldowns to get a second smite. I'm going to try and do it at the time where my plant respawn is going to come up, but that's so you understand why I'm going to be using 3 smites on this clear, but one of the smites is counting as if you got a leash, so this is a leashless blue start. And you do your blue into your Gromp. It's basically pretty standard. I'm realizing while I'm recording this that it's going to get very repetitive since all the clears are pretty similar other than just like the ideas behind them. So we'll talk more about the ideas right here about why we are doing this clear, and I'll just leave the clear one in the background. So the full clear towards bot side, when are you going to want to do this? So in general, the full clear ZYRA clears are a bit slower than most meta full clears are. I don't recommend them. I think doing like some sort of a 3 camp clear is a lot better than doing a full clear. That being said, the full clear is good if you are versus a jungler who is not an early game champion and who is also going to full clear, and you just don't want to fall behind them in their full clear. It can be okay. Again, here on the red, I really want to stress this on this, you're trying to AoE the small ones as much as possible and only auto attack the big one. And you can see I'm spawning extra plants down by the red, and when I pull it over here, when my next root comes up, I can root through all of these and spawn the plants by my red, and then start doing my red as I'm finishing. It's really important. But yeah, the full clears, you're not going to want to run these versus a high tempo jungler, but when you're running like more of like an Amumu jungle, Sejuani, some sort of a tank, who you're going to outscale and you just want to farm up, it's good. Even against someone like a Karthus or something, they just full clear quicker than you. You might want to get more tempo of a leash, but yeah, these full clears are good for are good versus very low early tempo champions. You can do a full clear, but against, you know, anyone who has better tempo, I'd recommend doing a 3 camp or a 4 camp clear. And after we do our full clear, if they didn't do Scuttle, we can do Scuttle. This would again be usually if the enemy bot, if their junglers are bot side and we're going to opposite ends, you know, Scuttle's up. Especially if we were both pathing the same way, again, you'd want to get more of a tempo path to make sure you could contest the Scuttle. Okay, this is a leashed 3 camp early gank bot into full clear back towards our top side or whatever you want to do. So again, we are using a smite on this to simulate an ally leashing us, and we are going to be doing this. So one thing I also want to note about these clears is these are just some of the most optimal ones I've picked so far and I put in these videos, but you can pretty much mix and match any of these clears or whatever you feel like you want to do in the game. Like for instance, here you could do, you know, just these two camps. You could do your wolves end up ganking top. That being said, if you want to do like an early gank top, you're probably better off doing the leashless wolves because your top laner can get prio and like set up your lane for you. But yeah, you can just remember you can mix these up. So we do our blue into Gromp. Now we are going across the map to our red buff. And this is, again, when would you want to run this against a really high tempo jungler. Usually you want to be doing this if you see that bot lane is going to be very volatile and you want to get bot as soon as possible to impact the lane and get power for your crab. So you would do some sort of an early camp like this versus those, in those circumstances, say the enemy bot is like Callista with a pike or something, right? Well, you might want to do this clear because you want to get down there and affect their Callista pike before the enemy jungle does. So we are just finishing off our red here. I probably should have pulled it over to this plant in the bush and got two plants at once, but it's fine. We walk down towards our early gank bot, which was the point of this. We start our sweeper to make sure we don't walk over a ward. Look for an early gank / get prio from our lanes. Now while we're waiting for Scuttle, we can look to invade their bot side jungle. Say their jungler could be on the blue, or they could have pathed towards top and left their Gromp up. You could look for an invade. Look for a gank mid. We are just waiting for 3:15 to get our Scuttle crab spawn. So Scuttle crab is spawning. And the really cool thing about this clear is now when you look at our full clear back up, it's very interesting what will happen. This clear path is very cool because since we started with our blue Gromp, it means that we can, when we full clear back up, Gromp is going to be respawning at level 2 when we get up there. So we're getting an extra level 2 camp in our clear, and we're still getting all our main camps coming up, and it's really good sequencing. So we go over here, we do our Karugs, smite the big one because he's a pain in the butt to kill. Kite them around. I'm gonna be a bit more silent to be a little less annoying because there's not really much to talk about. One thing I guess we can talk about here is also my warding. With your, don't forget to use your control ward to guard whatever side of the jungle you think's gonna be vulnerable. So I pull it back and I throw my root through, hitting all the small ones, and I'm just trying to keep AoEing the small ones while tanking just the big one with my plants only and killing them first. Remember the small ones, you just want to keep AoEing them, but you want to focus the big ones. Same with the wolf. We walk over here, the wolf. I'm going to put my plants down from range in spots where it'll be able to tank. Oh, I should have put one on the small, but I didn't. I should have put one on the small, one on the big, summoned them so that they're being tanked by different plants. But it's fine. We come over, we kill, and like I said, very cool. Our Gromp has respawned top as the level 2, and the cool thing is if we kill this Gromp, this is over 1100 gold, which means we can recall and get a pen boots rush. So this kind of a clear with early blue buff Gromp red, look for prio bot mid with ganks, get our Scuttle crab, full clear back up, and if we successfully do this, we can recall and get our pen boots. Alright, this is getting a leash on our red buff. So again, we're going to be starting to spawn our plants at the 1 minute mark out of the bush, and then we're going to start it. Again, I'm starting with a smite on it to simulate getting a leash, and this was going to be for an early gank top if we are getting a red start leash. So we're going to be doing red buff into blue Gromp into a gank top, and yeah, it's pretty basic. Again, it's always, the combo is you have to do a buff, a small camp, and a medium camp to get it. So you need to do a buff with either Wolves Raves and either Golem Gromp. One of those combinations of 3 will hit you level 3. So for instance, instead we could have done like red Golems and then like, you know, Wolves, but we're trying to get an early gank top. This is the most efficient path. So we are taking red, blue, we are letting it get killed by our plant over here, and we're going to start our second camp once we got this plant tanking it, and now we go to our Gromp and let the plant finish that one off. And after our plant, our Gromp, now we can look for either a gank top, gank mid, get proud from the Scuttle, or you can go straight back down to your Wolves that are right there and go Wolves, Raves, Krugs, and then look for your bot side Scuttle or bot side gank. So very interesting path.
Come closer.
We are not going to start this one by saying alrighty like I have the rest of them, I've noticed. So we are doing with a leash red buff start, and this is going to be a full clear, so it's going to be very similar to all the other clears we've seen. Very repetitive stuff, but guess what? The length you have to watch this video, trust me, I put in a lot more time going through these clears myself, practicing them over and over again and like figuring them out. I spent literally hours. So lucky you guys, you get it condensed in only about 20 minutes. So we are going red over to our golems. And again, this is a full clear. So as I said on the blue buff start side, full clear. Full clear. ZYRA's full clear isn't the quickest. ZYRA has actually a pretty strong level 3 spike where she can go for ganks and stuff, so usually you don't want a full clear. Usually you would full clear here if the enemy jungler is a full clear jungler and you started on opposite sides. So if their jungler is a full clear jungler and they started red, and you're a full clear jungler, you started red, and you guys are pathing to opposite sides, you're going to both full clear and get all your camps. But even if you're facing another full clear jungler, you're going the same way. I would probably do a shorter clear because he's going to finish before you, so you can get prio to do stuff. So yeah, you usually wouldn't want to do this versus like a high early tempo jungler because they're going to end up ganking lanes and snowballing. Your team's going to cry, why do I have a ZYRA? And blame it on having a ZYRA because they're not smart enough to play safe. So we did our wraiths, or whatever you guys call them, raptors. I'm an old boomer. And we're going to be doing our wolves into blue gromp. And you know, not much has changed since you saw this on the rest of the clears if you've been watching, but hopefully you guys can pick up by watching these over again, just like the little intricacies of how I use my plants to tank and how I do each camp very specifically. Again, we're doing the blue, so we are just going to have it camp, do our plants, and we are going to start our gromp right now, so we can do 2 at one time. And just get an extra value out of the burn from our support item if it's hitting 2 at one time, just better. And we finish off with our gromp, and we would do our topside scuttle, and that's our full clear with a leash red side. And now we are doing our final clear, the 4 camp clear. You can do this from blue side down, but I found that it's kind of hard without the red buff sustain to actually do it. ZYRA is very good at killing the AoE camps, so we are going to be skipping the golems that we did on the full clear and basically the same thing as that. We are going to be doing something that gives us early tempo towards top but doesn't leave our wraiths up. So if you remember when we did the 3 camp, we did red, blue, gromp to get level 3. The problem with that is that if the enemy comes in their bot side, you leave your wraiths up, very easy to counter jungle, and we want to leave as little camps up as possible. So since ZYRA can AoE down pretty good these camps and do them pretty reliably, you can start off by doing your red. I end up smiting the wraith there because, like I said, the 4 camp is a little bit hard. It's a bit awkward doing those wraiths without your root, but it can be done. We go over to our wolves and we start doing those. I noticed I didn't hit the small one on the end, so I hit it with 1 auto to get the bleed going. And then we're going to be, after this wolf camp, we're going to be going straight to our blue, which will hit us level 3. You have to do 4 camps to get level 3 this way. But after the blue, you can look to gank top, or you can look to do your gromp. Another cool thing is you could do red wraiths, and you could actually do the gromp and not blue, and that'll also hit you level 3 as an early way to get 3 pathing towards your top side. So lots of options, but yeah, like I said, as you're doing this blue, if you see there's a gank option top, you could go top right after, but if there isn't anything looking anywhere, you can also just do your gromp so that you're ready for level 3 and good to go for the scuttle crab spawn. So yeah, this is the final clear, finally. Again, you guys can mix and max any of these clears or change them up however you want, but these are just in general some of the best ones. And you want to, every game before you go in, think about which clear you want to use based on what lanes you have and where you want to path. Okay, these are my ZYRA jungle runes. So to start off, we go Electrocute because it gives you big burst. You might ask why not Dark Harvest? Because Electrocute just has more damage in the early game, meaning your early ganks and early skirmishes will be stronger, hopefully allowing you to snowball. That being said, you can go Dark Harvest. We go Cheap Shot second because there's not much else in this room to take. Eyeball Collection, and for the last one, you can really take whatever you feel like. I like Treasure Hunter because it allows me to get my Leandries earlier, but you can go Relentless Hunter or Ulti Hunter depending on your playstyle. For secondary runes, I personally go Transcendence and Water Walking. I really like Transcendence, lowering the cooldown on my plants, and Water Walking to allow you in the early game to sort of play around the river a lot and not get caught out by the enemy jungle and just kite them. If they have Water Walking, you don't, you're probably dead. So for all those reasons, I like to go this. But if you also want, you could go a page like this, where you're going for lower cooldown smites to help you clear quicker and going for the free gold on the boots. But I personally think for the early game tempo, it's better to have Water Walking. And finally, for our minor runes, I go attack speed, AP, and health. So the reason we go attack speed is because you don't have that crazy AP ratios in your kit. A lot of your early clear is based off auto attacks, and this attack speed rune will give you the best early clear, which again, ZYRA's weakest point in this game is her first clear is a little slow, so anything to help us speed up that first clear is really important. AP for, again, clear speed. And finally for defense, we go health. Most junglers take armor because you're tanking all the jungle camps and they're doing AD damage. But because our plants can tank for us, we can take the health room and scale with that instead. So yeah, this is my page that I usually take for ZYRA in the jungle. Okay, and the final part y'all been waiting for, we are going into the build, the items. So to start off, you can start with, I usually go blue smite, but you can go red smite if they have a lot of divers who just want to, like, for instance, they have like a Katarina and you can red smite her and make her do less damage, but I usually take blue kite to allow me to kite enemies out. You want to start the game with 1 potion and a control ward sweepers. The reason why we start with 1 potion is so we can start with a control ward. You can't start the game by level 1 warding, backing for sweeper like people usually do in high elo. I like to start the game with this control ward, and you want to place that somewhere in your jungle level 1 to spot enemy invades, to make sure your jungle is safe, and sweepers you can look for early ganks. That being said, you can also start with a regular ward and ward up your own jungle with a regular ward, and start with a refillable if you're a bit newer, but I think this is the best strategy to get an early control ward down. As for the actual build, core, Liandry's. You are always going Liandry's. I don't think it's worth ever going Ludens or something. Liandry's just makes it so that you can have better objective control on the Barons, Dragons. People after ability update have more HP and stuff. It also gives you a lot of CDR. If you go Ludens, you won't have any CDR in your build. Liandry's is just core. You just always go Liandry's no matter what. It just gives you the best control with your plants and everything. Your plants also proc Liandry's, so that's also something to note. Next, I almost try to go Rylai's second. I love Rylai's because, again, you're going to keep spawning your plants to auto attack, and you're going to be proccing Liandry's and slows, and it's very annoying. And then after that, Void Staff to give you all that pen you need so that you can do a lot of damage. Also, we are going to be also getting pen boots, so sorry, I forgot to put those in. Sork boots. Where are you? There you are, bad boys. You're trying to always first back and get pen boots. So this is like your core build. That being said, some games at the end of my team's very AP, I'll go Liandry's into Void Staff second and just skip the Rylai's. So it's always situational. And these situational items, again, you can input anywhere in this build at any time that you feel. So if you get an early Dark Seal and you get 10 stacks, Magi's can be a great way to snowball your game. Getting move speed is very strong. If you need anti-heal Morellos. If they have a lot of AP, you can go for Banshee's Veil. If you need Zanya's to survive an Assassin, you can get that. If they have lots of tanks with lots of HP, you can add more burn from your Liandry's with a Demonic Embrace. You could even just always get Demonic Embrace instead of Rylai's. It's really playstyle, but I love just Rylai's. The slows on range plants are just so fun. And if you're going for like a full damage build, you could go for the Shadow Flame and Death Cap with your Void Staff, and you're just going to be doing tons of damage. So yeah, these are the builds that I usually go. One last thing for ability order. So I always go QWE level 1, 2, 3. After that, at level 4, I usually put a second point into my Q, and after that, I usually max my root first into W max second. I love to get my W on as low of a cooldown as possible so that I can always summon one plant with my Q that will start attacking enemies and slowing them and putting Liandry's, and I'm always just trying to annoy the enemy by max ranging plants. That being said, if you are newer to ZYRA, I would recommend starting off with maxing your Q fully into Emax W last, but I think once you start to get used to ZYRA, 2 points in Q early for your clear and early ganks into Emax, W max second, and you're just going to end up being a late game beast. When you have Liandry's, Rylai's, and a rank 5 W, oh, your CDR is super low from Liandry's and Transcendence, your W is rank 5 with CDR, and it ends up being that your W's cooldown is about, I think, 6 seconds, and your Q cooldown is 4, so every 6 seconds you can spawn a new plant. The plant can last 30 seconds, so you can imagine you can keep spawning plants and have like 4 or 5 plants down all around you getting vision and attacking enemies that get close. So yeah, this is my build items and stuff. This is now the outro. Thank you guys for watching the whole video through. If you made it this far, again, like, comment, subscribe. Check out my stream. I appreciate it. If you have any questions about ZYRA Jungle, let me know in the comment section below. And finally, practice in practice tool. As you saw, all these clears I did in the practice tool / custom games. So trust me, I put a lot of practice. It takes a while. You're going to end up having your plants die, minions resetting on you. It'll take you a while to get it down. So yeah, don't get discouraged. Just use practice tool and get it down good. Peace out.